What a wonderful variety of exhaust notes would be heard at this year's TT races. 2 strokes, 4 strokes, singles, twins, fours, they were all there sounding like this. TT's much more than just another road race. It's an institution, a mecca for motorcyclists, with a glorious tradition of racing history stretching back to 1907. Over the years, it's built up such a reputation that every June, thousands of people flock to the Isle of Man from all over the world, because be they riders or spectators, the TT has a magic quality possessed by no other meeting. Nowadays, there are 2 circuits. The unique 37 3/4 mile Snaefell mountain course, which is used for the junior and senior TTs, and the 10 3/4 mile clip circuit introduced in 1954 for the lightweight, ultra-lightweight and sidecar TTs. For 7 days before race week they are both used, morning and evening, for practicing. This is the time when riders experiment with carburation, gear ratios, tyre pressures, control settings, and most important of all, learn or relearn the endless twists and turns, climbs and descents and braking points on these 2 wonderful TT circuits. On the Thursday evening practice session over the mountain circuit, 2 of the first riders to get away were teammates John Surtees and John Hartle. Neither of them needed to learn much about the course, for Surtees had already won 3 TTs, while Hartle had finished on the leaderboard 3 times, and they'd both done race laps at over 100 miles an hour. Their 4-cylinder Italian MVs, victors of 3 TTs, were in fine-sounding fettle too. And while the 2 Johns were hurtling on their way, scores of other riders were leaving the grid in a steady stream. Nortons, AJSs, a couple of BMWs, BSAs, and the new G50 Matchless singles were soon chasing the 2 MVs. And then, under 23 minutes after he'd departed, Surtees screamed past the grandstand to lap at 99.45 miles an hour from a standing start. And not far behind him came the Nortons of Dave Chadwick and Paddy Driver. Next along was John Hartle, who'd done a 97 mile an hour lap. Next lap at Governor's Bridge, Surtees was following Roberton's AJS. and blasting out of the Governor's Bridge dip behind the MV came the Nortons of Grant and Chatham and Ranson's HAS. Then, all too soon, it was 8:45 p.m., getting dark, and the end of practice for the day. In they all came like so many homing pigeons. In to park their bikes in the paddock and to take themselves to that wonderful TT institution, the Cadbury tent, for some piping hot chocolate and a lot of leg pulling and the usual explanations of why they hadn't gone a lot quicker. But let's leave the mountain circuit for a while now, because for 6 years the 125cc, 250cc and sidecar TTs have been run on the clip circuit, and there was some very interesting machinery in those classes this year. There were the incredible 250cc MVs, for instance, which could do 130 miles an hour and were said to be faster than John Surtees' four-cylinder 350. Here's Tarquinio Provini, reigning 250cc world champion, on one of them at the Manx Arms corner. And then there were the very fast East German MZ two-strokes. Their team leader was the Swiss rider Luigi Taveri, and he'd certainly got his 250 MZ going. Ducatis had made official entries in the 125 race for Villa and the brilliant young ACU triple champion Mike Halewood. Mike, the youngest works rider ever, arrived at the Manx Arms very fast at 5:30 on that Friday morning. Now, I suppose the most notable single feature of the 1959 TT races was the fact that for the first time, works entries were made by a Japanese firm. This was the Honda concern, of course, and their 125cc twin-cylinder machines were right up to date with their latest design trends, beautifully made, and considering their lack of experience under European conditions, extremely well ridden by their 4 Japanese riders. Listen to one of them, Taniguchi, at the Manx Arms. And now Suzuki at the Nursery Hotel. The water-cooled Adler twins, though not works entries, were very quick too, and certainly sounded good. And let's not forget our own very gallant British-designed, British-built and British-ridden entry, Bob Geeson's lovely REG twin, with ever-cheerful Derek Minter on board. But the real heroes, so far as the crowds were concerned, were the sidecar crews. With 4 successive TT victories behind them, this year's race looked like being another BMW walkover. World champion and 1958 TT winner, Walter Schneider, showed us on the spectacular nursery bench that he'd lost none of his skill during the winter. Harris, this year on a BMW instead of his usual Norton, was in very good form too. The practice periods are often used for testing experimental machines and components undergoing development, but with no intention of actually racing them for the time being. For example, it was no secret that Nortons have got a desmodromic valve model in the island. So nothing daunted, I had a few words about it with designer Bert Hopwood and its rider Terry Shepherd. How does it go, Bert? I asked.
May I say at this stage that we have absolutely standard valve lifts, Manx valve lifts in it, so there's really no reason why it should go any better than a Manx. And of course, one can miss gear changes and without bending the valve.
With impunity, yes.
We're quite happy so far as we've gone with it. We haven't done as much running in practice as we should have liked, but we've done 3 laps, I understand, and we're quite happy and pleased about it.
Terry, you've been running the desmodromic job. What are your impressions of it? And what do you find good and what do you find not so good?
Well, I found it very similar to a normal engine.
Well, I heard a rumour that you didn't use your brakes so much because you could use the engine and gearbox more. Would that be right?
Well, I certainly used the engine and gearbox a lot to give it a good stressing, since we were testing it, you know.
That's a very crafty Liverpool answer, Terry. I'll pass that one. How does it sound? Well, just like a normal Manx Norton. Now, I haven't mentioned yet that another unique aspect of the 1959 TT meeting was that 2 extra 3-lap races were run over the mountain course for machines in the new Formula One category. One of the riders who unashamedly used his Formula One entry as extra practice for the international races was Australia's Tom Phillips. But when I spoke to him afterwards, things didn't seem too good. Well, I gather by the dismantled state of your junior motor, Tom, you've got a bit of trouble. What's the bother?
Well, it appears during the race yesterday that a circlip broke, and although the bike didn't stop, it slowed up considerably. It seems it's gone into the oil pump.
Oh, this is your Formula One machine?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well.
I was being cheeky. I'm using the one bike in the 2 races.
Well, what's the team going to do, you think, this year?
Well, teams, they're always a problem. That's a lot of mileage to cover. 3 motorbikes, that's 3 times the risk, really.
Yes.
Bring them all home, but I think they have a good chance. Cheerio.
The 2 Formula One races were won in terrific style by those 2 great riders and inseparable friends, Scotland's Bob McIntyre on a 500 Norton and Alistair King on a 350 AJS. Bob actually did a phenomenal opening lap on his production Norton at well over 98 miles an hour. And the next day I nipped up to his hotel to talk to him and to Alistair about these new races. Oh, congratulations, Bob, and you, Alistair, on wonderful shows in the Formula One job.
Okay.
You amazed me, Bob. You went a lot quicker than I thought you were going to go.
Oh, I think we'd manage a wee bit more come Friday.
Well, I know when I saw you assembling, the 2 of you assembling your bikes up in that kind of beautiful showroom condition. Your bike, Alistair, finished amazingly cleanly.
Ah, yes, it seems to be quite well tight.
And I gather you're swapping over for the junior proper, aren't you? You're riding...
Riding a Norton, yes.
And you're riding AJS Mac?
That's right, yes.
Good. And this is your AJS?
This is it, yes. We're working on it just now, just getting it ready.
Well, it's now 12:05.
Granted an extension till 8 o'clock tonight.
You have.
Owing to the race yesterday.
With practice week and the 2 Formula One races over, it was Monday, June the 1st, Junior TT Day, almost before we knew it. This year, all the stars were given early numbers, an experiment which certainly made the race much easier to follow without spoiling its unique 10-second interval starting appeal. And what terrific scrapping it created. Listen to 4 of the world's finest riders arriving in quick succession, 31 miles out up the mountain at Brandywell on the first lap. Hartle, McIntyre, Surtees and Anderson. Next, Jeff Duke on his very special Norton. And then came Alistair King's Norton. It was Surtees all the way, but behind him the incredible McIntyre on his equally incredible AJS was actually leading Hartle's MV when the three of them reached Brandywell again on lap 2. At the end of lap 4, engine vibration forced poor McIntyre out of the race. So on the Cronky Straight, 10 miles out, the Hartle MV was no longer troubled by that meteoric 7R AJS. So now it was MV's first and second. Listen to them on the mountain on the last lap. First the winner, John Surtees, repeating his 1958 victory. Then John Hartle second, but over 3 minutes behind his teammate. And a very big hand to Alistair King, third man home on the first British machine to finish, and only 10 seconds behind Hartle at that. Practicing for the TTs stops on the Saturday before race week. So what happens if there's testing to be done after then? Well, it's a case of bless the RAF. For the Commandant at Jerby Air Station near Solby very sportingly lets the lads test their machines on the runways there. And on Tuesday, after his magnificent failure in Monday's Junior TT, who should be at Jerby but Bob McIntyre, with his race bike and AJS Development Chief Jack Williams. I asked Jack why they were there.
The object is mainly to discover the reason for the cause of the vibration that Mac experienced yesterday.
It broke the, I get the struts on the streamlining. I go, that was the real cause of having to back up.
We think so. That appears to be the cause, but we wanted to make quite sure that there was no fundamental cause from the engine.
There's obviously nothing mechanically wrong with the bicycle. It's running beautifully from the sound of it.
Yes.
But I see you're altering carburation.
We are altering carburation to see if it was possible that the change of barometric conditions on the day had altered the mixture to the extent of causing a vibrating period. But we don't think that that's the reason. This is purely a matter of checking a bare possibility.
Yes, you haven't stripped the engine to find if there's anything mechanically deranged.
Oh, yes.
You have?
We have indeed.
And nothing wrong?
Nothing, not a thing to be seen.
Well, that's racing for you. After I'd left Jerby, I went to see Ed LaBelle, An excellent example of the lure of the TT, for his trip to the island had started in far-off Philadelphia, USA. And why had he come?
Well, it's a 5-year ambition of mine. I started racing about 6 years ago, and I started reading about the Isle of Man TT and the exciting race it was, and I just more or less made up my mind that I'd like to come here.
And what do you make of the mountain course?
Oh, I think it's a wonderful course. It's terrific traction, and the riders are just out of this world. And
You had a spot of bad luck in the Junior International on Monday. What went wrong there?
well, John Hartle passed me near the Glen Tremont section, and he distracted my attention.
It's quite an experience when one of the four-cylinder fire engines comes past you, isn't it?
Well, he come by me about 400 miles an hour, almost sucked me out of the saddle. So.